The night Clara was told she was being sent away, the walls of her room felt smaller than ever. Her father's voice was firm, tired, and disappointed. To him, this was punishment. To Clara, it felt like exile. She had no idea that this punishment would become the most important journey of her life. What Clara didn't know was that behind a broken fence, worn boots, and a quiet smile, a secret waited for her, one that would change how she saw kindness, family, and herself forever. Before we begin, if you enjoy emotional stories that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe to Kindness Story Hub, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us keep spreading stories that matter. Clara was 16 and angry at the world. She lived in a comfortable suburban home in Ohio, went to a good school, and had everything most teens wanted. But she also had a sharp tongue, a habit of skipping class, and a growing list of bad decisions. When she was caught shoplifting with friends, her father reached his limit. Instead of grounding her or taking her phone, he made a choice Clara never expected. She would spend the summer living and working with a poor farmer named Henry, an old friend of her late mother, in a small rural town hours away. This will teach you responsibility, her father said. You'll work. You'll listen. And maybe you'll learn something about life. Clara slammed her suitcase shut and didn't speak the entire drive. When they arrived, she stared out the car window in disbelief. The farmhouse was old, paint peeling, roof uneven. Chickens wandered freely. The fields stretched wide but looked tired, like they hadn't rested in years. This is it, she muttered. Henry stepped out to greet them. He was thin, with sun-worn skin and kind eyes. His clothes were clean but patched. He smiled gently at Clara, as if he understood her anger without her saying a word. Welcome, he said. I'm glad you're here. Clara wasn't. The first week was miserable. She woke up before sunrise, fed animals, pulled weeds, and carried heavy buckets until her arms ached. There was no Wi-Fi, barely any phone signal, and no friends. At night, she collapsed into bed, exhausted and bitter. Henry never raised his voice. He explained each task patiently, thanked her for her help, and cooked simple meals they ate together at a small wooden table. He always asked how she was feeling. Clara usually shrugged or gave short answers. One evening, after a long day in the fields, Clara snapped. Why are you so calm all the time? She asked. Don't you get tired of this? Of being poor? Henry paused, then smiled softly. I'm not rich in money, he said. But I've been rich in other ways. Clara rolled her eyes. She didn't believe him. As the days passed, something strange happened. Clara began to notice small things. Henry gave extra eggs to a neighbor who couldn't afford groceries. He fixed a broken fence for free. He sat with an elderly woman who lived alone and listened to her stories without checking the time. One afternoon, Clara found a small notebook on the kitchen counter. Inside were names and numbers, along with notes like medical bills, school supplies, and rent short. She realized Henry was quietly helping people in the town, even though he had almost nothing himself. That night, curiosity got the better of her. Why do you help everyone? She asked. They don't pay you back. Henry looked at the window, where the sun was setting over the fields. Kindness isn't a transaction, he said. It's a responsibility. Clara had never heard anyone talk like that. One rainy afternoon, while cleaning the barn, Clara found an old wooden chest. Inside were faded photographs, medals, and letters tied with string. She recognized her mother in one of the pictures, smiling beside a younger Henry. When she showed him the photo, his hands trembled slightly. She was my sister, he said quietly. Clara's heart skipped. My mom never mentioned a brother. Henry nodded. She wanted a different life. I stayed here to care for our parents. After they passed, we grew distant. But I loved her very much. Tears filled Clara's eyes. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't want you to think you were here out of pity, he said. Your father asked me to help you. I agreed because I saw myself in you, angry, lost, and hurting. That night, Clara cried for the first time in years. Not out of anger, but understanding. From that day on, everything changed. Clara worked harder, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. She listened to Henry's stories, learned about farming, and helped him organize the notebook of people he supported. She even started writing letters to some of them, offering encouragement. For the first time, she felt useful. One afternoon, Clara overheard two men at the supply store whispering about Henry losing his land. The bank planned to take it due to unpaid loans. Clara's chest tightened. She rushed home and confronted him. Is it true? Henry nodded. I didn't want to worry you. But this place is everything, she said. He smiled sadly. Places can be replaced. People can't. That night, Clara made a decision. She called her father and told him everything about the town, the kindness, the secret, and the land. Her father listened in silence. A week later, the town gathered near the farmhouse. Clara stood beside Henry, confused, as her father stepped forward. He announced that the loan had been paid off, and the land was safe, but it wasn't just him. The people Henry had helped came forward too. They had pooled what little they had. Some brought money. Others brought tools, labor, and food. Henry's eyes filled with tears. Of this, Clara realized, is what kindness comes back as. At the end of summer, Clara packed her bags again. This time, she didn't want to leave. You'll always have a home here, Henry said, hugging her tightly. When Clara returned to school, she was different. She volunteered, stood up for others, and treated people with patience she never had before. She visited Henry often, bringing friends who wanted to learn. Years later, Clara would say that being sent away was the greatest gift she was ever given, because sometimes, what feels like punishment is actually a path to purpose, and sometimes, the poorest places hide the richest lessons of all. If this story touched your heart, remember, kindness doesn't require wealth, status, or perfection. It only requires a willing heart. Let's choose kindness today, and every day after.